Thank you very much, and thanks for being here. And as usual, a well-planned event gets always interrupted by votes. And so we have potentially 5 votes that are occurring, they say 10:30, but this is the Senate, so it could be an hour, could be now, could be any minute. So let me first welcome you to the Senate General Aviation Caucus, and truly excited that we've been able to put this together as our kickoff event, and thank my co-chair, Senator Johanns, for being here. This is an issue that he and I in the Commerce Committee especially on a regular basis remind folks of the importance of general aviation. And I was joking to him, some people, and it's a variety of issues with general aviation. In Alaska, we would consider these our Lear jets here. They're different, they're unique, but they're life and death transportation issues. So again, it's just an honor to have my co-chair here. We have 23 senators that have joined us in this effort for the GA caucus. When we first thought of this idea, I honestly thought maybe we would just be 1 or 2 of us, but what we found is there are many Democrats and Republicans that are very interested in this issue and are concerned about the impact. Many times when we talk about aviation in this room, general aviation is forgotten. We talk about the regionals and the major airlines, and then somehow general aviation gets kind of literally swooped up into the bigger issues and forget our uniqueness that we have. There is no one definition, as proven by the photos behind us, the bush pilots of Alaska, the crop dusters, the helicopter tour operators, the business jets, and the experimental home-built aircraft. The caucus will provide a unique opportunity to educate members and staff about the general aviation and what it really is about, and tackle some of the major issues impacting general aviation. In my home state of Alaska, aviation is a huge, and it's very important for our commerce, life safety issues. 169 rural communities have no access by roads of any kind, so aviation is their road into their community. They rely completely on aviation for transportation of people, supplies, and other items that are necessary for the villages and the communities to make it. They land on lakes and gravel airstrips and snow-covered tundra, and you name it, we build them when necessary for the runways, depending on the season. Alaska has 6 times more pilots and 16 times more airplanes per capita than the rest of the country. They are truly our secondary vehicle, in some cases primary. Anchorage is the home to Lake Hood, a seaplane base, the busiest seaplane base in the world. General aviation truly is the lifeblood of our state. Its importance of GA goes far beyond Alaska. General aviation is hugely important for our national economy, employs 1.3 million Americans. Industry generates $150 billion annually, and encourages investment in GA so it continues to thrive as our efforts here. Before I turn it over to Senator Johanns, I want to recognize a few folks. Senator Susan Collins was a new member, just came on to our caucus. We didn't get time to put her on the list, but we wanted to make sure she is recognized. She just came on yesterday. Congressman Vern Ehlers and Alan Boyd are co-chairs on the House General Aviation Caucus, and we appreciate their leadership and looking forward to having a joint meeting with them. Ben Gilo is Congressman Ehlers' office, who staffs the House GA Caucus. Along with that, we know we've had conversations, myself and I know Senator Johanns, with the FAA and their interest in really supporting our efforts here and recognizing the importance of this caucus. And of course, I'd like to thank my Alaska Airmen Association for letting us have these beautiful photos behind us. I know there may be other members that may come in and out, but because of the vote, it's hard to say. But let me at this time turn it over, if I can, to Senator Johanns, my co-chair on this effort, and truly is a bipartisan effort to focus on general aviation, the economic importance, the life safety importance for our communities and our country. Senator?
Thank you very much, Senator Begich. Let me, if I might, just start out with a little story. All of us are being interviewed in the last hour since the State of the Union address, and I was speaking with a Lincoln, Nebraska radio station this morning, and they asked me about the bipartisan spirit in working together. And I said, I'm going to give you a perfect example of this, and cited this meeting in our work together on this caucus. And this is a perfect example of what happens here when people from across the aisle can recognize, look, we've got a joint issue here that's critical to our state. Let's try to figure out how we can impact this in a positive way. So I want to say thank you, Senator Begich, for really taking leadership on this. The senator came to me and said, you know, I've got this idea. Would you be willing to be a part of it? And I said, absolutely. Sign me up, whatever I can do. And so it's a pleasure to be here. We have struck a chord. I'm not exactly certain what I expected when we decided to start the caucus. Maybe I was thinking we'd get 10, 12 members at most. Well, we're closing in on doubling that number, and I'm just going to guess that we're not finished yet, that we'll continue to add our colleagues' names to the list of people, list of senators who want to be a part of the caucus. As in Alaska, we in Nebraska, well, we definitely take our flying seriously. We help build and we help maintain aircraft, and more than 3,000 Nebraskans are pilots. Senator Begich mentioned that 1.3 million Americans work in general aviation. He's used that number a number of times. Several thousand of them, I'm very proud to report, work in Nebraska. Really good jobs, high-paying jobs with benefits, the kind of thing that both of us as former mayors would do everything we could to try to encourage in our communities and now in our states and our country. We depend on these smaller airports and the private runways to help our communities stay connected and run their businesses. In our state, we really don't have any intrastate commercial transportation as such from an air standpoint. So what we do on our own is absolutely critical, and you need the airports to do that. In these economic times, employment in this sector is an important front in the battle to sustain economic growth, not only in our states of Alaska and Nebraska, but across the country. It's important we remember that general aviation is and has got to be a part of the conversation when we consider how to boost this economy. It's also important that it's considered when we unravel and understand aviation security issues. The most recent, of course, front page news, and that is the Christmas Day bombing attempt. The flying public is very much depending on us folks and on the administration to make sure that we get things right, whether we're talking about security or economic development. So we're going to continue to work this all we can, and now we have another tool in our arsenal with this caucus. But I also want to just remind all of us that general aviation is a part of many industries. There are many feeder industries, if you will, that provide the parts and the other items that make this such a great economic driver in our states. So to all those people who are out there today working on the front lines and doing all they can to build the economy from this standpoint, let me say thank you to them. And then I want to wrap up, if I could, with just one or two last comments. I want to thank the people in this room. A really exciting thing for me was once the caucus was announced, people came to us from this industry and said, we want to be partners with you. Can we help? And not only have you helped, you have really helped us carry the ball down the field, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. I also want to wrap up my remarks today by thanking the gentleman that just walked in and sat down, Senator Inhofe. This is a senator that's been a leader in this area long before we even had the thought that we would end up in the United States Senate as his colleagues. And so could not be more excited that Senator Inhofe is here, could not be more positive about the leadership he has shown in this area, and I thank him for that. Senator Begich, thank you for the opportunity to offer you a few words, and appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Senator John. Let me introduce Senator Inhofe, and I want to echo those words. You know, we're new here, but we saw this as a very important issue. But Senator Inhofe has been on this issue for many years and helping educate members about how important general aviation. So I'd like to give him a few minutes to say some comments. And
okay, I'll make it very brief. But first of all, let me extend my appreciation to both Senator Johanns and Senator Begich, because actually years ago, I came to the Senate from the House in 1994. And prior to that time, I was actually chairman of the House caucus that we had, the General Aviation Caucus. And at that time, we had, I think I'm the last active commercial pilot in the Senate since since right now at this time. But at that time, we had about 35 active commercial pilots in the House of Representatives. One by one, they disappeared. And that's kind of what's happened. So a problem we have is people have the misconception that general aviation is for the fat cats, that people, they're the ones, and they're their target for everyone. They think they all have money because they have airplanes. I'd invite anyone of those and encourage you to use your leadership to try to get as many to Oshkosh as possible. This last year was the 31st consecutive years that I've been to Oshkosh. We now have, I was the flight instructor for all my kids. Now I'm the flight instructor for my grandkids. I have 2 of them about ready to be kicked out. And so good things are happening. But if you do that, you find these are single issue people. And I have to say this, that when we were back in 1994, we had the 18-year repose bill to have a product liability bill on aviation products. Prior to that time, we were a major importer of general aviation airplanes and parts. After that bill passed, we were a major exporter, all because of that one thing. If we remember, Piper was about to go under, so they went up to Canada and relocated there, all because of that issue. So there are things we can do. And to me, if you think about the ingenuity, all the technology that comes out of general aviation, it's something that we need to expand on. I'm still an active pilot. I've got 4 airplanes, and I've got just under 11,000 hours now, and I'm still pumping away. So, and I'm 75 years old. Who says that older guys can't fly, you see? So I'm glad you're doing this, and I look forward to being an active member to help you in your endeavors.
Great. Thank you very much, Senator. Thank you very much for being here. And let me, if we can, if there are some questions, we'd be happy to answer them, but I also want to kind of lay the groundwork of what we will do next. And we're going to be setting up a joint meeting with the House GA because we think it's important later this spring. There are many issues, as we've all three kind of laid out, of what we think are important. GA security, GA safety, the next gen and how GA fits into that. There are several other things, and it's not going to be just a committee that, caucus that just sits and listens all the time. We're going to try to listen and then take some action and see what we can do to help improve the understanding of general aviation in our own respective committees that we sit on, but also with our respective members. So we're looking forward to the joint meeting with the House because I think that's an opportunity to really join our forces and continue to educate folks. Let me hold there and see if there are any questions that folks might have here that they may want to ask us as we hear the bells starting to rack up. Great. Let me say again, thank you all very much for being here. We're looking forward to continued work. This was our kickoff just to get people familiar that the caucus exists, who's in it, and also our target. And again, as we move forward, our staffs who have been very busy putting this all together, we thank them, and you'll hear more from us. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
No, your timing was great.
Oh, yeah,
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Both of you. Your timing was great.